Here are the answers to yesterday's work. Remember that you can always message Miss Lopez or Miss Downing if you are a bit confused or you need a little extra bit of help. Please pause the video and check that your answers are correct. We have learned that a fraction is a part of a whole. When we write a fraction, the denominator tells us the total number of equal parts has been divided into, and the numerator the number of equal parts that we are counting. We've also learned that equivalent fractions are fractions that look different but have the same value. And we've been looking for equivalent fractions by using fraction bars, our times table knowledge, a fractions wall, or a number line. Today's problem is: a cake is cut into 12 pieces. Can we figure out what fraction of the cake each person takes? It says that Ruby takes 3 pieces, Robbie takes 4 pieces, and Lulu takes 2 pieces. Can you pause the video and write down the fraction of the cake each person takes? Great! What did you write? This was quite easy, wasn't it? We know that the denominator tells us the number of equal parts our cake has been divided into, and the numerator is telling us the numbers of parts we are counting. So if Ruby takes 3 pieces, she's going to take 3 12s. If Robbie takes 4 pieces out of 12, he's going to take 4 12s. And Lulu, she takes 2 pieces of the cake, so she's going to take 2 12s. 2 out of 12. Task today is to find the simplest fraction, and we're going to look at how to do that. Our cake is cut into 12 pieces, and Ruby takes 3. We've said that she takes 3 12s of the cake. Now, what can we do in order to find the simplest fraction? This means, what can we do in order to find the smallest equivalent fraction possible? So what we could do is we could group these 3 pieces, because our numerator is telling us that she takes 3 pieces of cake. We could group them into one part. So this will become one part, this will become another part, 2, 3, and 4. So our denominator won't longer be 12, it will become 4. So if there are 4 parts in total, Ruby takes 1 out of 4. Let's have a look. So here we have our cake, it's been cut into 12 pieces, and now we group them. And when 3 pieces become 1 part, 12 pieces become 4 parts. So here 3 pieces become 1 part, so 12 pieces become 4 parts. So we can say that 3 12s is equivalent to 1/4, and Ruby takes 1/4 of the cake. Let's have a look at Robbie's cake. He took 4 pieces out of 12. We can see it here, 4 pieces out of 12. Now, what can we do in order to find the simplest fraction? We could do as we did before. We could group the pieces of cake into groups of 4. And I will have these 4 will become 1 part, these 4 will become another part, and these 4 will become a third part. So he will be eating 1/3 of the cake. Remember that 1/3 is now equivalent to 4 12s. So even though the numbers are different, he is eating the same amount of cake. And we are looking for the simplest fraction. So when 4 parts become 1 part, the 12 pieces become 3 parts. If Lulu eats 2 pieces of the cake to 12, what will be the simplest way to say the amount of cake that she's eaten? Now she has eaten 2 pieces out of 12. What could we do? Right, we could group the cake into groups of 2 because our numerator is telling us that she has taken 2 pieces. So we will have now 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts, and 6 parts. So when 2 pieces become 1 part, the 12 pieces become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So our denominator is going to be 6. So we could say that 2 twelfths is equivalent to 1/6. So Lulu takes 1/6 of the cake. Let's have a look at this example together. Now we have a cake here and we are eating 6/9 of the cake. We know that our cake has been divided into 9 equal parts and we are eating 6 of them. How can we find the simplest fraction? What did we do before? We looked at the numerator and grouped the pieces of cake into as many parts as the numerator said. Can we do that? Let's check. So we got here 6 pieces of part. If they become a part, do we have 2 equal parts? No, because 6 plus 6 is 12 and we've got just 9 pieces of cake in total. What could we do instead? How could we divide our cake in order to have equal parts? We could do 3 equal parts and it will look like this: 1 part, 2 parts, and 3 parts. Now I am eating 2 parts out of 3. So this is what the cake looked before. Now I have 3 parts. These 3 pieces of cake become 1 part. These 3 pieces of cake become another part. And these 3 pieces of cake become another part. So now I'm eating 2/3, 1 part and 2 parts out of 3, 2/3. So 6/9 is equivalent to 2/3. And even though the numbers are different, we are eating exactly the same amount of cake because they are equivalent fractions. Now is your turn to complete page 102. It says, a cake is divided into 12 pieces. Find the fraction of the cake that each person takes. Remember, we are looking for the simplest fraction. We are looking for an equivalent fraction, but we want it to be smaller. What I will suggest is that you start by looking at the numerator. Can you use the numerator in order to form equal parts? Can you, for example, in A, can you do equal groups of 4? If you can, then that's an easy way to find the simplest fraction. If not, you will have to think a bit harder. Give it a go and see how you do. There is another way of finding the simplest fraction. It says here that 8/12 is equivalent to 2/3. Is this right? Let's have a look. We got 2 fraction bars here showing us. 8/12 is equivalent to 2/3. If we look at the fraction bars, we can see that they have the same value. So these fractions are the same size. Now, if we don't look at our fraction bars, or we don't try to group as we did before, what else can we do? We could use our division knowledge to find the simplest fraction. So, what can we do in order for the 8 to become 2 and for the 12 to become 3? Remember that as we did on Tuesday, when using our times tables, we had to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So we will have to do the same here. We will have to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So 8 divided by something equals 2. And 12 divided by that same something equals 3. What is our answer? 8 divided by something is 2. What could it be? 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And now we need to divide the denominator by the same number. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Let's check. Well done. So here we will divide this fraction by 4 in order to find its simplest fraction. Let's check by doing the inverse. So we multiply now to check our answer. 2 times 4 is 8 and 3 times 4 is 12. So we've got the right answer. Okay, so you can also divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number in order to find the simplest fraction. Let's have a look at this example. We've got here 8 twelfths and 4 sixths. And remember that we are now using our division knowledge to find the simplest fraction. Do we know if these fractions are equivalent? Yes, we do, because we got here fraction bars that are showing us. So we need to divide our numerator and denominator by the same number in order to find the simplest fraction. So 8 divided by something equals 4. And 12 divided by that same something equals 6. So 8 divided by what equals 4? That's it. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And now we will have to divide 12 by 2 as well. 12 divided by 2 equals 6. Is that right? Well done. So you've just used your division knowledge to find the simplest equivalent fraction. Well done. To finish with, we're going to solve one more. But in this case, we do not have a fraction bar to help us. So remember that in order to find the simplest fraction, we can also use our division knowledge. Let's have a look. We should start with the denominators because we got 2 of them and we can find out what are we dividing by. So 12 divided by something equals 4. What are we dividing 12 by? So it equals 4. That's it. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Now we know that in order to have an equivalent fraction, we have to divide the denominator and the numerator by the same number. So I will have to do 3 divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So now we can say that 3 twelfths is equivalent to 1/4. Okay, year 3, so that's it for today. I know that this lesson is quite tricky and it's a bit hard to understand, so please do not worry if you're struggling a bit with it. Feel free to message any of us if you need any help, but if not, don't worry, we'll look at it again when we are back in school. Okay, so if you can, complete page 103 from your workbook, but just do A, B and C. If you do not understand, don't worry, just complete the previous page 102. On this page, you need to find the equivalent fractions by using your division knowledge. Remember that you have to divide your numerator and denominator by the same number. If you got two denominators, you can easily work out what the missing numerator is going to be, because you will do 10 divided by something equals 5. And then this something will divide 4 as well, in order for it to be an equivalent fraction. Again, if you struggle with this page, don't worry, you don't have to do it. We'll look at it when we are back at school. Hi Year 3, this is the end of today's lesson, and we would like to challenge you by playing a memory card game. You can find this in today's PDF. You need to cut each of these cards and place them facing down on a table. You choose 2 of them and see their equivalent. To do so, you can use fraction bars, your multiplication knowledge, number lines, or your division knowledge. You can also use all the fraction words or the lovely fraction words that you made. It's up to you. Okay, so if you pick 2 and they're equivalent, you get to keep them, and that's a point for you. If not, you place them back where they were. Okay, so I know that today's lesson was quite tricky. Do not worry if you need a bit of help. We will go over this one once we're back at school. So that's it. Have fun, play the game, and I'll see you next week. Bye!